That's fantastic. And, so Pi Network, there's a cryptocurrency, there's a network, there's applications, there's millions and millions of users. What's next? We have the mainnet, but what are you guys trying to accomplish with this, with mainnet?
So a very special period, our strategy design is called enclosed mainnet. So our mainnet went live in this last December. We started our mass KYC, I think the first quarter. And then we are also in the process of migrating all these millions of people. The next is basically after migrating all these millions of people to the mainnet, we're building the enclosed network. Enclosed network means everything can be transacted within Pi, but cannot have external connectivity yet. The special design for this is to focus our attention to build utility and real utility without too much noises outside of the network. And of course, we acknowledge there are certain applications can only build with external connectivity, but there are internal enclosed type of utilities can be nurtured and built. For example, new type of social applications can be inside the enclosed environment to get it into the ecosystem to be a little more mature before we go to we call open network.
Okay, interesting. So somebody downloads the app, they're mining on their phone, or are they staking, or is it like they're doing some type of hash or something like that?
Okay, so your question is how does the Pi mining work? I guess your question, right?
Yeah.
So mining, as people traditionally understand, is in the context of proof of work. When people think of mining, it's a lot of electricity, a lot of hashing. Okay. So, that's because proof of work require nodes to, spend, electricity to solve mathematical puzzles to reach a consensus. So it comes down to the type of consensus algorithm a protocol uses. Pi relies on federated Byzantine agreement, in which the consensus is reached not through burning electricity, but through a quorum, rely on a trust graph to rise from the trust graph. And inside the quorum, nodes send messages to each other, just like votes, in regard to whether a transaction is true or fraudulent, and help that reach consensus. Just by my description of how this mechanism works, these days, any laptop can send messages to other computers. So the scale of, the requirement for electricity is no comparison to the level that required by proof of work. This is the fundamental reason why Pi mining in the first place doesn't require electricity. Now, as I mentioned, there needs to be a trust graph. So the mobile miners are actually contributing their trust relationships to form this trust graph that can feed the consensus algorithm to reach consensus. So the actual running of the blockchain, the heavy lifting of actually running, is still on our Pi nodes, which is computer nodes. So, but the required efforts of our Pi nodes is different from the Bitcoin nodes. And then they're also rewarded in Pi in conjunction with the mobile miners. So in the broader sense of the mining is that individuals or nodes contribute to a consensus algorithm for it to reach consensus. In return, they receive rewards of that protocol.
You guys envision Pi Network ever interacting, or Pi Network users ever interacting with their Pi tokens on other chains, right? Is it going to be this cross-chain future with bridges or atomic swaps, or is it kind of going to be maybe like one blockchain to rule them all? What's your guys' view?
Well, the sky is the limit. We are not here to enclose the world in just one technology. We are always open to collaborate with other technologies. We believe in open standards and open networks. We see what happens with platforms when they become too enclosed and the power that comes with that, and also the impacts that they have to consumers. There is even in the news lately about new recent policies that the various application platforms, mobile application platforms, are constantly changing to enforce different rules. So we are always open. We expect that there's benefit in collaboration between platforms, of course.
Yeah. So speaking of that, like I heard the other day, Apple kind of came out with these new rules about any sort of crypto transactions that happen through their app, like an app that was downloaded through the Apple Store, like they're supposed to now be collecting 30%. Have you guys heard about this?
We did.
We did, roughly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the world is still in a phase, including, tech giants or regulators still figure out how crypto can fit into the existing economy. And that is the process as a crypto builder also need to be patient and follow and then adjust in order to, fit in at the same time create innovation.
Yeah, that's where open standards help. Yeah, that's where open standards help. Being more accessible through the web, through technologies that are open helps push the ecosystem forward.
Yeah, I was going to say basically the same thing. Like they're kind of pushing people away from mobile and back to web. There could be this renaissance of like these open web-based applications as opposed to just like, mobile first and mobile only applications. So it'll be interesting to see.
We, several years ago, we made a pretty unexpected move. We are all about user experience and producing a better user experience for our users. But at some point we did something counterintuitive to user experience, which is we had the Pi app and we created the Pi browser. That is counterintuitive because it asks people to install two apps. So it's more complex. And that was several years before this recent announcements. So in a sense, we have prepared ourselves with what we think it would make sense to do, to rely more on open technologies, web browsers, and things that don't completely enclose or rely on single entities to have a single failure point in the whole process.
Are not limited only to one type of platform. Basically, we also have a testnet. We also have a desktop, application. So.
I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
So many different access points for the application.
Yes.
And redundancy points to work on the web, to work on different infrastructures and technologies.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your guys' experience as co-founders of, a huge network through the bear market, because, I'm curious, just do numbers kind of start to slow down? Does work morale at the office kind of go down, or, what's your guys' experience as a bear market builder?
Well, I mean, from my perspective, bear market is not necessarily a bad thing for the industry. The bear market get rid of all the craziness and the noises, and force people to focus attention on, what is real, what is really useful, what is the real use cases of crypto. So I think this is the phase for real builders, and focus our attention to more substance. So bringing substance to the industry to get ready for the next wave of bull market. And as for Pi, we're basically shielded from that, especially because of our design of the enclosed network.
Yeah, so the enclosed network by construction is shielded from any market conditions. So, for example, this KYC application that we have where people need to spend 1 Pi to KYC themselves, and that Pi is split across all the people who are helping you to get your KYC validated. During the bull market, it cost 1 Pi to KYC yourself. During the crash, it still cost 1 Pi, and now during the bear market, it still costs 1 Pi. So it was completely unaffected.
But how much is 1 Pi in dollar terms?